tell you what, to make it easy, I'll start from 14 months ago.
Okay.
Even for my birthday, we filed suit against Coinbase for patent infringement.
Right.
One of my companies did, because we felt that they infringed on the patent. And we reached out to discuss it with them, and we found them to be uncooperative. It's a politically correct way of saying it. So after a while, without any real progress, we simply filed suit. I believe it was a very strong suit, lots of merit, quite valid. My attorney passed away unexpectedly. Big shock to me. And
Wait a minute. I didn't know this.
yeah,
Are
he
you
passed away
serious? When did this happen?
February. We have filed suit against Coinbase, and then a month later, we filed suit against Circle for the same patent infringement. Very similar issues. And a couple of months after that, he unexpectedly passed away.
Okay, now hold on. I don't wanna. Do we know what he passed from?
I don't want to get into that. I'm not trying to fan or stoke conspiracy theories. Let's just say he passed away, out of respect for his family. He was actually a personal friend of mine as well. And a very, very strong patent attorney, very strong. He's the one who got research in motion to make up blackberries, the injunction against them that kept all the blackberries locked at the port so they couldn't get into the country in the Best Buy. And they settled for like $630 million.
If you want to see more videos and interviews like this from influential people in tech, finance, and sports, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the bell to be alerted. And go a step further and join the YouTube and membership area for early releases of videos like this. I'm out of here. All right, so ladies and gents, I've got the legendary Reggie Middleton, best Stuyvesant, the livest one. How you been, man? I don't even know if I've talked to you since seeing you in Bed-Stuy. Has anything changed since then? That was about a year and a half ago, possibly even longer. I can't even remember. I wanted to get you on because I wanted to talk to you about where you are with this patent battle. To me, it's a David versus Goliath story, and I'm really rooting for you. And I just want to kind of get an update for the audience. I don't know if you've done any other videos lately discussing this. I know I saw you on that Very Dow channel on YouTube. Is that a fairly new channel?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been, I'm assuming, talking about the situation over there, but kind of give us an update, man, on things and how you been.
Okay, well, where do you want me to start from? What was the last thing you heard? And I'll start from there.
I haven't heard anything, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't been keeping up with the whole situation. So if you just want to kind of start from maybe 12 months ago going forward.
12 months ago, I'll tell you what, to make it easy, I'll start from 14 months ago.
Okay.
Even for my birthday, we filed suit against Coinbase for patent infringement.
Right.
One of my companies did, because we felt that they infringed on the patent. And we reached out to discuss it with them, and we found them to be uncooperative. It's a politically correct way of saying it. So after a while, without any real progress, we simply filed suit. I believe it was a very strong suit, lots of merit, quite valid. My attorney passed away unexpectedly. Big shock to me. And
wait a minute. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Are you serious? When did this happen?
February. We have filed suit against Coinbase, and then a month later, we filed suit against Circle for the same patent infringement. Very similar issues. And a couple of months after that, he unexpectedly passed away.
Okay, now hold on. I don't wanna. Do we know what he passed from?
I don't want to get into that. I'm not trying to fan or stoke conspiracy theories and everything. Let's just say he passed away, out of respect for his family. He was actually a personal friend of mine as well. And a very, very strong patent attorney, very strong. He worked on the DTT, I think it's DTT case. He's the one who got research in motion to make up blackberries, got the injunction against them that kept all the Blackberries locked at the port so they couldn't get into the country in the Best Buy. And they settled for like $630 million. That was a settlement. That's what they paid not to go to court. He was one of the guys that worked on that. He knows his stuff. So with him gone, I decided to withdraw the suits. That was earlier this year. And at the same time, Coinbase filed what is called an IPR petition, or inter partes review petition. That is asking the court for a trial to invalidate the patent, saying that the patent was invalid, shouldn't have been issued, bad, etc., etc. Coinbase and Circle spent pretty good money. They hired the biggest and most aggressive firms they could find, in my opinion, of course. They hired Queen Emanuel, which is one of the most, probably the largest aggressive litigator in the country for the litigation defense. And they hired Perkins Coie, who does a lot of blockchain work. And they have the largest patent bench in the country, 499 patent attorneys. And those are patent attorneys, not the support staff. And they represent them in the IPR petition. And that's what big companies do. They file a petition to try and stay litigation and break the patent of entrepreneurs, inventors. And they call these entities patent trolls. Okay? I can tell you now, I can't be a patent troll. An inventor, by definition, can't be a troll because he's the first one to bring the invention to practice.
Exactly.
Okay,
We're not talking
so
about correct wrong here. Now that's a patent troll, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not going to comment on anybody else. I'm just speaking already, you know. And I actually call an entity, and I'm not going to mention any names, who uses an inventor's invention without permission and refuses to pay, a patent pirate. They're stealing it. That's theft. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean. And the real Pirates of the Caribbean weren't, charismatic, goofy guys like in that movie. They used weapons and they took things from people forcibly. Okay, even if it meant their death. That's what patent pirates do. Okay, so as you explained, it is Davy and Goliath. And so this $20 billion company, right, who had access to capital that I didn't have access to, and I'm a blockchain entrepreneur and inventor, and I've been in this game as an entrepreneur for a long time. I couldn't access the venture capital they did in the private equity in the public markets. As a matter of fact, I got attacked by the SEC. They took this capital, their resources. They hired this very large firm of over 1,000 attorneys, and they came after me to break my patent. Okay. Luckily for me, the patent was well written. The invention was sound. And even though it took 6.5 years or 6 years to prosecute that patent and get it through the patent office, it was very hard. And they fought me all along the way. But we finally convinced them. And we felt it was a strong patent. When Coinbase decided to challenge it and ask for a trial to invalidate it, after a couple of several months of deliberation, the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, PTAB, that's the arm of the patent office that does trials for invalidating patents, they refused to give Coinbase a trial. They said they didn't demonstrate a likelihood of being able to prevail on at least one claim out of the entire patent. Put in layman's terms, they didn't have a prayer of winning, so you can't even have a trial. Interesting, because I'm not a lawyer, okay? So I heard this from someone else. I am not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just giving what someone told me. Coinbase is now not allowed to challenge, as I understood from what was told to me, is not allowed to challenge that patent again at all.
So a precedent was set then, essentially, right?
Well, a precedent wasn't set because they didn't have a trial, but it's implied that by denying Coinbase a trial, the patent wasn't proven. There was not a chance of proving the patent invalid, which is another way of saying implicitly they thought the patent was valid because they wouldn't allow Coinbase to go to trial to try and disprove its validity because the evidence they produced just wasn't strong enough. That's that's a very big deal. Again, I'm not a patent attorney. I'm not a lawyer at all. So, but as was explained to me, imagine going into a knife fight and then your opponent hands you a gun. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But this is not me opining upon that particular case, transaction, etc. I'm just telling you old wives' tales and mnemonic devices that people use to convey a message.
Right.
So, very interesting. Uh, and for all the naysayers who say, and the naysayers are all over the place, from big entities, not necessarily all private entities to just haters all over the net. The patent is invalid, it won't work, this and that. Well, the patent office has disagreed with you guys twice. Okay, so that's where we stand. I can't say what we're going to do in the future. You might be able to surmise, but I think we're in a very strong position. Okay, and that's just the U.S. patent. That's not counting 2 Japanese patents that we have issued. So we have 3 now, 1 in the U.S. and 2 in Japan, all very strong.
What do you think about circling back with the director of the documentary I'm going to be in? I think this needs to be. I mean, I know we're not maybe at the tail end or the conclusion of this, but this is a story right here, man. It's just, and
It's
it's
not
the
even,
thing is,
so we're not even close to the end of it.
not even
This
close.
is this isn't going to end until the next century. So I can tell you that now. Um, I have been fighting almost every day for years. Okay, as soon as the premise of me owning anything of significant value came into play, I've been attacked by non-private agencies or entities. I'm not going to go any farther than that. Private entities, individuals, just nonsense, frivolous lawsuits, name calling, besmirching my character, fraud, blah blah, this, that. But you know, this is mine. It's my baby. I'm going to fight. To give you an example, there was this guy back in the late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, and he filed a patent for improvement upon telegraphy, the telegraph. Okay, and there were 2 other patents filed that same day. His happened to beat the other 2 in. He got a patent, and they had to fight for 500 and I think 60 something challenges to that patent. Now, the improvement to telegraphy or improvement to the telegraph is known by another name, and that's called the telephone. And that dude's name is Alexander Graham Bell. Almost 600 challenges, and he fought back all of them successfully. And because of that, he created the Bell companies, and he controlled, or his inventions controlled communications in this country up to now. Patents are only good for 20 years. Effectively, if you have to fight a lot, they're only really good for 11, 12 years because they take 2 to 10 years, 2 to 7 to 8 years to get granted. And then you have to study the validity of it. Then you have to go and collect on it. So it's not easy. But if you're able to raise capital and implement it in business, you're off to the races. So those 600 challenges, I'm feeling those now. Everybody's coming. Okay. Unfortunately, nobody wants to do proper business anymore. It's about litigate someone to death, besmirch their name, steal from them, etc.
What is your assessment of the patent system here in America? Is it
It's
work?
working.
It's
It's,
work. You
it's
say it's
working.
work.
Yeah, I'm standing up to a $20 billion company and winning, right? This is the brother from Brooklyn. Okay. Um, I have, I want to negotiate with $1 trillion companies. Hopefully they negotiate with me. If not, and the patent system works, they don't get the win just because they have $3 or $4 trillion on their balance sheet. They get the win on the merits, or vice versa. I get the win on the merits if the system works. Thus far, the system works. See, those who are part of the oligarchy that are controlling large portions of the industry, they give this patent control, mantra, tripe, and the patent system is bad. No, the patent system preserves the rights of entrepreneurs and inventors. So when you invent something, you get to own it versus have somebody take it from you. If you don't like that, tough. Invent something yourself. Then you can let someone else take it if that's what you want. Okay, so anybody who says patents are bad likely did not invent anything, or they have something and they're already so far ahead of everybody else, giving their inventions away wouldn't matter. I'm not going to name any names, but people who give away patents and open source patents, etc., are also so far ahead of the game they can't lose.
Yeah, Google being one.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names because it's not, mudslinging thing. This is more trying to explain to people how the world really works.
So, to a young entrepreneur, what would you tell them? What would be your advice to an entrepreneur that's starting up? Would you tell them to allocate their resources into patents out the gate, or would you wait? Kind of like hindsight 2020, you going through this now. What would be your advice to an entrepreneur?
My advice to entrepreneur, black, white, anybody else, let's not say black and white. Let's say someone who's in a disadvantaged position.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I want to make it very clear as a black man, all blacks are not disadvantaged. All blacks are not poor from the ghetto, etc. But, okay, in America, someone is not seen as advantaged. If you see a black person, you don't say, hey, that's a very advantaged person who has a leg up on the rest of society. That's not what most people think or see.
No.
Okay. And when you go through the legal system, when you go through the academic system, etc., that's usually not the experience of the average black person.
So that's why I highlighted black, not that
I understand. I understand. I have a very diverse audience, and a lot of times when you say black, people start to get the wrong idea. So I want to take a step back and
explain that.
I'm for everybody, even the advantaged people I'm for, but I'm not for the advantaged people who need to put their foot on my neck. Okay, I'm for everybody, but a lot of disadvantaged segments of society, they're just black by another name. Okay, so now get off my social theory discourse. If you come up with an idea, take ownership of it, an invention, because that's what makes America work. If you Google black inventors, don't put famous, just Google black inventors, put like 100, 200 in, you'll be shocked to see what comes up. You ever hear the real McCoy before? That saying?
Yes, I've heard. I don't know the backstory.
Okay, well, the backstory is it's a brother named McCoy, and he was an engineer, if I'm not mistaken, and he came up with a way of lubricating train wheels from inside the train, so the wheels go automatically lubricated. Before that, the train would travel 300 yards. Someone would have to stop the train, get out, put oil on the wheels, get back in, and keep going. Okay, he created an internal lubrication system that kept it lubricated, and the train could just go. It was so popular, right? Everybody wanted it. Now, other companies, that weren't minority, came and said, well, we can do that too. And they started selling replicas. But nobody wanted the replicas. They wanted what? The real McCoy. And that's where that term came from. Refrigeration for trucks and ice cream trucks and 18-wheelers, the stoplight, the gas mask, voice over IP. Do you know that the reason we're able to have this conversation now is that a sister invented it? Okay. It wasn't a long time ago. She's still alive, used to be a VP at Google. I think she teaches in a college in the Northeast right now. That's one of, I think, roughly 200 patents that she has under her belt. So many people have patented so many things. Let's not make this about black or white, right? A lot of women have patented things, and a lot of women do not get credit or their due credit in engineering, STEM, and sciences. Okay.
So, but the thing is, though, you're saying all of this. Did the real McCoy get paid for his efforts? Was he able to protect him?
I don't know the real McCoy, but I'll give you examples of people who have gotten paid. Super soaker? You ever play with a super soaker with your kids? Mm-hmm. Okay. A brother invented that and patented it, and they fought him on it. The water gun industry came to him, went to the judges and said, listen, this was an obvious idea. Okay. You shouldn't get a patent for it. And the judges said it was so obvious, then you should have did it yourself. Denied, and he has a patent on the super soaker mechanism. Okay. He's gotten paid. He's made money on it. Hundreds of millions, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So to get paid on it, if you have a very strong idea and you get a patent and you can get the patent to withstand attacks, you would get paid because people want to make money. Okay. You don't have to be able to produce it yourself, or you can raise money and produce it, or you can just license it out. A variety of ways. It's very difficult. If you work for a company and you invent something in that company's, while you're employed for the company, oftentimes you've signed an employment contract that says you have to assign it to the company. Be aware of that. Okay, and there's a lot that goes into, I don't want to make this about patenting, but I do want to make it about intellectual property. Okay, right. Intellectual property, in my opinion, is more important than real property. Okay, because it hits harder if it's good, strong intellectual property. You got weak intellectual property, you got weak real property as well. A swamp in the middle of the ghetto might not be worth anything, but it also depends on how you look at it, right? A lot of people think my patent was trash. It's not. You could think that swamp in the middle of the ghetto is trash, but under that swamp, is there oil? Is there uranium? You understand what I mean?
So I just want to kind of go back, and you don't have to touch on it if you don't want. I know you want to respect the family, but do you want to give your assessment of what happened to your previous lawyer?
Well, actually, I shouldn't even speak on it because, to be respectful, he passed away. I caution people not to get on the conspiracy theory thing. If something happens to me, though, please feel free. Listen, I swim like a fish. I fight like a warrior times 5, and I'm rather risk averse. I don't plan on dying within the next, 70, 80 years, and I'm 56 now, so I plan to be here for a minute. So if something does happen, conspiracy theory away, okay? But outside of that, I'm going to be respectful of, my friend and his family.
Dang, man, I did not know that, Reggie. Man, that's scary, man. I'm sorry. That's just the timing doesn't make any sense. So with the media blackout still going on with you, I see you on Twitter all the time. You used to be on traditional media, mainstream media,
I was a
CNBC.
darling. I was a media darling and superstar.
You're a media darling. That's where I actually found you. I discovered you there on CNBC, whooping all those guys with the trading competition. Have you reached out to people in the media? I know you have a network of contacts. I think it just needs to be more in the public. I think there's no public opinion about it because there's no one talking about it.
I haven't reached out because I just have other things to do. It's not like,
I
it's
get
not like nobody wants to run a story on me because let something negative happen, I'm all over the place.
exactly
Mention SEC allegations, it's all over the place.
right. So I'm saying that to say maybe there's a way you can, without as much legal effort, mold and change the public opinion, or at least get, because these companies are all about optics. They want to keep their PR looking clean and all of that and good and above board. And so if you start a media blitz on this, then maybe they'll be more willing to settle and not have to drag you.
I don't think they'll settle on a media blitz. I believe that, my patented technology is at the core of distributed ledger transfers and technology. Web3, cold storage, stable coins, asset-backed tokens, everything the big banks are doing, Ethereum itself, oftentimes proof of stake, etc., is at the core. If they settle because we work out a business deal, and that's the best way to do it. But you have to understand the economics and the mindset of those advisors who work with and for management. Let's say I go to a company, right? That company, the bulk of their revenue, the large portion of their revenue relies on the patent. I say, listen, I believe you're infringing. Let's not fight. Pay me a royalty fee. I'll even help you, create new products based upon my ideas. They may consider it, and then the lawyer says, but wait a minute, how much does he want? Say he wants, you pick a round number, small number, $10 million. Okay. Now, if you're making billions of dollars a year, $10 million is nothing. And trust me, $10 million wouldn't be a license fee for a company that makes billions of dollars a year. But let's just say 10 million. And the CEO says, well, I'm considering it. The board and I were considering it. And the law firm says, no, don't. Give me $1.5 million, and let me try and shake him loose.
Right.
And he said, okay, well, $1.5 million is less than $10 million. We'll do that. And then you're in litigation.
Yeah.
But you have to be a problem solver. You have to look at risk and reward. What lawyer, especially a litigator, is ever going to come to you and say, don't litigate? Don't pay me. It's not worth it. Says what lawyer?
Yeah. I told my friend, a colleague of mine yesterday, I said, referees call fouls. That they're there to blow the whistle. So the lawyer is going to litigate.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
and then if you lose, now if the lawyer loses, right, you lose. There's a possibility you have to pay what you owe the patent owner and treble damages because he said you owed it to him. You said you didn't. And you don't get nearly as good a terms if you just cooperated because chances are he just wants to do business. He doesn't want to fight. Okay. But lawyers are incentivized in the wrong way. They're not incentivized on the best business outcome. They're incentivized on how many billable hours they can get out of you.
Right.
So all CEOs, listen. Okay, listen.
Yeah, right. Good point. I agree with you there. My question to you then would be, okay, so they're going to try to drag this out as long as possible. And you said there's like a 20-year window with patents. What happens after that 20-year marker with your patents? Are you still able to retroactively litigate and win suits?
Yeah, I mean, if they
How does
infringe,
that
they
work?
infringe. If they
So
infringe, they infringe. I think you have like 5 or 6 years, 5 years to go back retroactively. So if the patent expires tomorrow, but someone infringed in the last 5 years, I could still, go back and sue. I can't sue after tomorrow, but I could sue for what happened up until tomorrow.
are you fearful
As I
that,
understand it, again, I'm not giving out legal advice. I'm giving my
right?
understanding.
Are you concerned that they're going to try to drag this out for 20 plus years and then you never are able to
Not at
win?
all. Not
Why
at
not?
all.
Why not?
It's a very different industry. Most of the dragging out goes through discovery and motion practice. There's almost no discovery here. You know how I find out someone's infringing? I go to their GitHub. I look at their website. I'll pull the evidence down and post it right there. What it could be dragged out for years, I can do in 48 hours with the right team.
Speaking of team, do you have a new set of lawyers, a new set of a team that you're working with, or is that something that because people will see this, maybe we can use the audience in their network to possibly leverage that and get you some
Well,
more.
put it this way: we beat the largest IP bench in the country with the right representing the largest crypto company in the country. So think about it. You can read the IPO yourself, and it was denied due to our answer. So results speak for themselves, right?
Okay.
And this
Um.
is after my lawyer died.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. I want to talk about Ripple. I see you retweet a lot of. I think his name is John Deaton on Twitter. You retweet a lot of his stuff.
I wouldn't say a lot, but he does say things that I would like for my those who follow me to see because it resonates with me.
Yeah. So, what is your take on Ripple? And were you shocked at Judge Torres's conclusion with the
Not at
merger?
all.
Okay,
No.
why not? Why not?
Certain aggressive regulatory agencies have a very, very strong track record in crypto enforcement. Okay. The reason is not because everybody in crypto is a fraud or is a thief. It's because they're primarily startups. This industry didn't exist 14 years ago.
Right.
Okay. And it just started getting to going on an institutional basis like 2011, 12. And it just started getting going. Okay. This is 2 or 3 years after a white paper was written on it, or 3 or 4 years. So when you have agency with a near nigh unlimited budget, right, relative to startups, you know, they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're using your tax dollars against you, literally. Okay, and so startups. Now, I'm not saying there are no frauds or crooks or whatever, but there are frauds and crooks everywhere. Everywhere. As a matter of fact, there are many more frauds and crooks in the much more capitalized financial institutions, and almost none of them, you know, have 100% of their capital taken away, et cetera, put out of business. So my unblemished track record comes from a powerful entity picking on, basically little children. What happened with Ripple, they picked on somebody who had the resources to fight back. Fought back, they did, and you get to see a very, very different outcome. I don't know if you realize it, but Brad Garlinghouse and the two Ripple executives that were sued individually, the SEC actually withdrew, right, the allegations against them. You don't see that happen too often. I can bet your Aunt Petunia's backyard begonias that the reason they did that is because they had the resources to adequately defend themselves and probably potentially ridicule the SEC in court. So they withdrew it. Right now, that would happen much more often if everybody they fought had the resources to fight back. Without the resources, everybody settles because you just can't do it. You just can't fight back someone who you can't beat, and you have to spend all your resources just to tread water.
Is that would you say that's why you just went ahead and settled with the SEC back in 2017, 18?
I'm not gonna speak on it because I don't have the resources to fight them now. Like I didn't have the resources to fight them then. Actually, I could have. I guess you could say I could have had the resources, but I decided that it just wasn't worth it. You know, I responded with a very, very well done, complete, and in my opinion, very accurate answer to their complaint. It's like 300 and something pages. So feel free to take a look at it. And it tells the entire story from the defendant's perspective.
So that's
Now,
water under the bridge. You can't go back since you've seen how they dropped the case against Garlinghouse and the other co-founder of Ripple. You can't go back and do anything with that.
I consented to it. I can't go back. It may be possible to go back if there was some wrongdoing, but I'm not going to bother with that. Listen, I believe certain entities made it very clear they don't want me in that industry. Okay? That's not what capitalism in America was built upon. Okay? They don't want me in the industry. I'm not in it. I happen to be in another industry now, which underpins that industry. And so I'm potentially, theoretically, in a much stronger position now than ever. Okay. And there are a lot of entities who don't want me in this position either. So, hence the constant fighting, constant having to defend yourself, constant having to prove yourself. If I was someone who was perceived differently, I would be a hero. Instead, I'm a patent troll, fraud, liar, et cetera, versus a hero. I don't see anybody making these allegations against Vitalik or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. Hey, right?
There's something in common with those three guys.
I'm not going to listen. I'm not going there. Okay.
I'm not either. I'm just
I'm not going there.
Will the IPO with Ripple, what if if anything, does this have to do with the XRP token? This is something I've been talking about online and expressing my opinion about. I don't think this has anything to do with the XRP token if they go public. What is your take on that with Ripple going public?
I can't see a correlation. I mean, the token may go up in price due to speculation, but there's no fundamental connection I can think of. Right. Unless that token is somehow adjudicated as a security. Judge Charles is pretty clear on what she thought it was in various instances. We'll see if the SEC will appeal. They are not getting an interlocutory appeal, which means they're not going to get an appeal off the decision, but they could get an appeal after final judgment. We'll see if they go after it or not. But remember, the difference between Ripple and almost everybody else who went after is they fought somebody who could fight back. Look at the difference in the outcomes. Arguably, Coinbase could fight back as well. Now, Coinbase has, in my opinion, a broken business model. They've been leaking money left and right, and they're basically very, very highly correlated with the price of Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes up, more than 2 quarters in a row, Coinbase leverages up. Bitcoin price goes down, Coinbase leverages down. Because of that, I feel the business model is broken. They have been making attempts to fix it and smooth earnings out, but I don't think they're there yet. And they have a lot. I'm not anti-Coinbase at all. Once it comes to the Coinbase versus the SEC versus Coinbase litigation, I'm on Coinbase's side. Listen, They went public in 2021. If I'm not mistaken, they filed their complete plans, gave it to the SEC. I didn't hear anything about unregistered securities then. But now,
I don't understand how you can go back and just do this. That's what I said. I said the same thing, Reggie. I said, when you go through, and you know this better than anybody, when you go through an IPO process, bro, it is a very extensive, deep dive. I mean, it's a lot of hours put into that.
Yeah.
You go through all the regulatory agencies. They look over everything, your prospectus and all that stuff. Nothing. But I don't understand how they can come back and even have a chance in court. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
And if I'm not mistaken, you could look it up. I know several state Securities and Exchange Commission offices have filed an amicus brief on behalf of or supporting SEC. Surprise. I heard it might have been all 50, but I know it's several. Which means if the SEC starts to gain traction, you could guess who's going to jump on board. I'm just really against that, to be truthful. If you thought they were running a registered securities exchange, you shouldn't have let them go public. The SEC basically allowed someone breaking securities laws to sell shares to investors publicly. Whose fault is that? You know. Now, and I'm not anti Coinbase, but I don't think Coinbase gave proper risk disclosures for the possibility of running their business on patented technology either. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, of course. No.
But like I said,
were they even aware? Were they even aware of you when they filed IPO?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but
you didn't have your patent wasn't cleared by then.
It wasn't, but it was in the patent office. It was public knowledge.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Coinbase cited my patent.
Wow. What did it say? What did they cite about it?
You can look it up. You should go to Google Patents, type in Reggie Middleton patent in Google. Outside of the character defamation that you get when you search my name now, right? You get Google Patents. It's US 1119656B2. You type that into Google Patents. They also use Brian Armstrong's patent that he filed and got to try and break my patent via prior art, saying his patent was prior art to my patent, which is not, in my opinion, and obviously not in the opinion of the patent office either.
Wow, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. This is the last thing I want to get your opinion on. What's your take on this whole spot ETF situation? What is it going to mean for Bitcoin, its future, and other financialization products that we may see come forth after that? What's your take on the whole spot ETF situation? Is it good for crypto holders, or?
I mean, it should increase demand for Bitcoin short to medium term. But you could kiss that Bitcoin being the end of the banking industry nonsense goodbye. Banking industry is the only one who's allowed to use Bitcoin. You don't see the SEC suing BlackRock or Bank of America, right? They're suing Coinbase. So short to medium term, theoretically, it should increase demand because you have to get buy the backing for the ETF. Excuse me, I think the ETF may be fairly popular. But that's making Bitcoin pure speculation. Bitcoin had a very strong use case and it lost its way, and it's been co-opted by the same industry it was created to fix.
Can you dive a little deeper into that statement there? How has it been co-opted?
When did the Bitcoin white paper publish? Do you know?
2009.
It was written in 2008. I think it was made public in 2009. Okay.
Sometime in October, just passed the anniversary, right?
Right. Which means right about the time that the financial industry was collapsing on itself due to market errors and insolvency. Okay. Bitcoin was designed to give transparency and audit trail and the ability to do transactions without having to rely on an authoritative third party. Okay.
Still does that today.
Really? Give me an example.
You said
wrong pause.
You said transparency. It's definitely transparent. They're catching criminals left and right on that bad boy.
Okay, so let's talk about transparency. So BlackRock creates a Bitcoin ETF and buys $300 million of Bitcoin. Okay. Oh, you're gonna know where that Bitcoin is? Where it's held? Hell no.
No, you're not. But I mean, you'll be able to see it in the wallet.
In what wallet? You think BlackRock's going to leave their wallet exposed where you could see $300 million in BlackRock's wallet? You really think that?
No, but I'm just saying you could through chain analysis if you had the ability. It's not like it's obfuscated. Essentially, is what I'm saying. You can't. You know what I mean? It's on the ledger. So if you had the resources and tools, you could theoretically find out all the wallets that BlackRock has.
Really? Right? There's a poet saying, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to offend anybody, but there's a poet saying that deals with that about grandma and grandpa. So you can look it up, right?
Okay, so what was the other thing you said?
It says, so before we go on, so Grayscale. Where's Grayscale's Bitcoin, if you could look it up?
I don't know.
You know who else doesn't know? Everybody else except for Grayscale. There is no transparency, okay? And they purposely, obfuscate it. And if Grayscale is going to do it, you bet your own Petunia's Rose Garden that Black scared
Now
black. Rock and
I'm saying I don't know because I haven't personally even looked. I have never looked into that. So I'm just saying I don't know, as in, I haven't looked. Basically, I'm not saying.
But what, when you get a chance, take a look. And you can tell your audience. Okay. So transparency. No. Next. What's next up? Ability to transact without authoritative third party. An
Yes,
authoritative third party like BlackRock.
you can for sure do that with Bitcoin.
Really? So how is that done at scale now?
What you mean? If I've got $1 trillion in Bitcoin, some crazy ungodly amount, and I want to send it to you, and it's in a private wallet of mine, no agency can stop that transaction, seize it, anything.
Well, number one, they can seize it. Okay. They can stop it. Okay.
Stop it. But you saying they can seize it. That's if they get to me.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. That's with anything though. A bearer bond. If they catch you before you give it, if they catch me before I give you the bearer bond, then they seized it and they stopped it. It's the same thing.
So it's now November 2023. I can guarantee you by November 2025, you're going to have requirements for hosted wallets. And the hoops and risks of having an unhosted sovereign wallet are going to be significant because it's too much freedom in there. I can almost guarantee you the bills have been being drafted for a while, just waiting for when I can get through.
Okay. And that I agree. That's probably going to happen. Absolutely. But the fact that you can still, if you wanted to, have your own hosted wallet, it's possible. The tech is there. That
Right.
has changed.
But look, where is it done at scale right now?
It probably won't be, and that's the point. It's a peer-to-peer technology. So at scale, yeah, they're going to be able to, put their laws in place.
Now, when I read the white paper, I read the wiki first. My jaw dropped. I was in love with it. The
Yeah,
premise. I'm like, yo, I thought I was late to the party. I'm like, this obviously I've missed this. I read this. It's public. Obviously, everybody else read it. I thought I was late. In reality, I wasn't late. I was actually early. And the promise of what Bitcoin would do has not panned out because it's been co-opted by those who have been obsolesced by it. And I'm not going to go, libertarian and squash the earth. It is what it is. The gatekeepers of capital, right, control capital. So if you threaten the gatekeepers of capital, you better have a lot of capital because the guys you're threatening are the capital holders. So of course, if you're a banking industry executive, would you co-opt and undermine and own as much of the DLT technology as you could?
of course.
JP Morgan pretty much controls the valuable assets of consensus and Ethereum, right? What does that include? Infura servers, MetaMask, a patent. To be truthful, the powerful patent holders for DLT that I can think of, Gemini, Coinbase, Inchain, me.
Oh, I was waiting for you to put yourself in
You
there.
know?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and Baidu over in China.
Okay. Okay.
Tencent, Baidu.
Yeah, 10 cents. So lastly, okay, so is there so it doesn't sound like you're really a big Bitcoin fan any longer. What it
What's that about, fan? Listen, computer code doesn't turn me on like that. I love beautiful women. I have, a weakness. I like happy, well-behaved children. I like dogs and sunshine. Computer code, it's computer code. It is what it is. I look at Bitcoin as what it is, both as a platform, as a network, and as computer code and as speculative items. And they are what they are. Bitcoin could have been a lot, but a lot of infighting prevented it from progressing. Ethereum came in and took over what I think was probably destined to be by the creator and could have been. And then Ethereum started progressing very quickly. It got in bed with the financial industry and a lot of the industrials, and it got co-opted.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost guaranteed to happen because imagine if something like that was able to run unchecked for just several years.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't expect central banks and money center banks to allow an alternative financial system to run side by side and compete
What
with
is
them until it's
what
not
is the
too strong.
what does the future of DLT look like to you now? Now that you've been in it
Um,
for a substantial amount of time, like what is there? Is it still an avenue for freedom for the small guy?
it all depends on your mindset. You can't rely on the technology. Technology is always going to be co-opted. It's mindset. Right now, what do you think the most significant use of DOT is? I have two examples, but what would you think it would be?
A proof of ownership, so
Okay,
tokenization and
I
transfer
would
of value.
I would say Fed now, the Federal Reserve. Okay, Fed now, um, the Federal Reserve or certain analysts think that over 50% of the banks in the U.S. will be on a Fed now system by next year, this time 2024. That's 50% of the largest economy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, significant. So anybody who says, "Oh, crypto is dying," you better wake up. You know. So and J.P. Morgan's adoption using their technology, such as JP Coin, not
Yes,
at the scale of Fed now, but growing significantly.
I talked
JP
about that.
Morgan has what, $6 trillion of assets?
Yeah, they did 1 billion in transactions. They just noted that. I covered that on my live stream yesterday. A lot of people
Yeah.
forgot about JPM coin and that whole situation. So
Fed now would do 1 billion in a couple of minutes.
okay, but that is more so commercialization of DLT. Like, what about the little guys? Is there any hope there? Is there any? I know you said it's the mindset, but like, what do you think? What's your mindset on that?
Most little guys don't go into primary sources. They don't do the research. Some do, most don't. They do whatever they're spoon fed. So FedNow was spoon fed. FedNow is a system for banks, but the banks use it to interconnect for the little guy and the big guys. Same thing with JP Morgan. In order for it to help the little guy has to help themselves, which means you can't eat with spoon fed. You have to go and hunt your own food. Something that's just not taught. It's not taught in schools. It's not taught in colleges. A lot of parents don't teach their children that because they weren't taught that. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. It's just the reality as I see it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Um, wow. So yeah, is there? I guess we can wrap up with asking the question: what can the audience do to help Reggie Middleton help you with what your endeavors are in regards to this patent and Veritasium and all of the stuff you've invented? What can we do as a little guy to help?
Get the word out. Go to your favorite YouTuber, your favorite influencer, and say, listen, um, this tall, handsome dude with a deep voice, from New York, claims to have invented a lot of the machinations behind advanced DeFi. And he claims to have patented it. And he claims to be a good guy. And he was challenged, and the challenge was beaten and pushed back, which implies that there's validity to it because the patent office thought it was valid enough to issue, thought it was valid enough to deny a request for a trial to challenge it. That is a very, very big story.
Yes,
I
it is.
sued Coinbase and Circle for stable coins, proof of stake validation, and a variety of other things, NFTs, etc. And that's that's a big claim, and B, it's a super big claim to have it substantiated, at least the validity of the patent, and it's not directly substantiated. If you didn't go to trial and beat them, they would refuse the trial, which I think is even a bigger, you know, story in and of itself. Not a peep from CoinDesk. Listen, CoinDesk, you heard that, Blood? Listen carefully. You heard that?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of CoinDesk.
Or Cointelegraph, or anybody in the crypto media, or
Yeah,
Fortune, or Forbes, or Wall Street Journal, or Barron's, or Bloomberg.
yeah. But I know you got. That's what I was saying at the beginning. You got some I know you got contacts.
Yeah, I'm past the
Reach
media
out,
game,
man.
man. I'm getting old. Right now, it's about productivity. I'm fighting for my life. People calling me names, disparaging. So I'm doing a lot behind the scenes. I'm not looking for fame and fortune, but I would like for people who attempt to do investment research or research to investigate a platform or learn how the system works or avoid risks or find opportunity, you use the media a lot. Look at what the media is not presenting to you. If they're missing this, they're missing a whole lot more. And this is probably the biggest story of the year, easily. This is much bigger than Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah. Which you probably could have sued him too. I'm gonna leave it there, ladies and gents. Great to have you on, Reggie. Go follow him on Twitter or X now. Where else are you? Are you still doing videos on YouTube, Reggie?
I will. I've been very busy, family and everything else, but I will do videos on YouTube. And at least the videos on YouTube, you get direct, unadulterated, raw cut fact. And when I give my opinion, I call it my opinion. So you know, okay?
I'll leave a link to his YouTube in the description as well as his Twitter. And yeah, that's it, guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, like this video, share it. As Reggie just told you, we need to get the word out about this monumental moment. He's still making very, very good progress with this fight against basically the whole blockchain industry. So make sure you go out there and support him, retweet this video, get people to hear about it. We need to hear this in the media. I'm going to try to do my best to do that as well. I got some ideas there. So again, it's your boy Crypto Blood, another kicking session.
Let me just jump in right quick, Blood. So I'm not fighting the blockchain industry. I don't want to fight at all. I hate fighting. Okay. I just want to do business. But it does end up in a fight if you want to steal from me. Okay. And anybody who's an observer, right? Think about someone stealing your car and then open sourcing it and giving free rides out of it. Okay, that's cool, but it's still your car. So look at it from that perspective.
All right, we out of here, people. Holla.